In earlier class, we have completed the need of servlets and the difference between static content web page and as well as dynamic content web page, and we have seen the definition of servlet and the role of servlet in the web application, and then different types of mechanisms. I mean, server-side technologies that are competing with servlets, and we have seen the differences. And the main difference we have seen, the threading mechanism is there in the servlet that is not available in previous server-side technologies like PHPs, CGIs. Okay, and then we have seen the servlet container and different kinds of web servers available in the market, like Tomcat, WebLogic, and WebSphere, JBoss. Out of all those web servers, we have important component that is there to holds the different kinds of servlet objects, that is called as servlet container. So each and every the web server should be having a servlet container which is compatible and supposed to give the runtime environment, provides the runtime environment for the servlets. Okay, and the next very important topic, which is very important for technical interviews, that is called as servlet lifecycle. Similar to be having a lifecycle for threads, lifecycle for applet, as we have already taken the discussion in the second year while Core Java is discussed. So we'll be having a lifecycle for threads and lifecycle for applet. So here, can you tell some kind of methods that is related to the life cycle of threads? Start the thread. We have to start the thread. So then only you can do all these things. The first very important method for the thread is start method. Without starting the thread, so how you wait, how you make the thread wait, how you make the thread to run, how you make the thread to notify, how you make the thread suspend, how you make the thread resume. So without starting the thread, so how you are doing all these things? Okay. So the first we have to start the thread. Okay, and then you can able to run. Okay, so otherwise wait, notify, suspend, resume. On at last, we can do stop method. Can do stop method here. Okay, so in between start and stop, so we can able to do all these things. Okay, so so do the threads has a main method? Or the threads have main method? Students, please clarify. Will the threads has main method? అమ్మ నేను క్వశ్చన్ ఒకటి అడిగాను. సో థ్రెడ్స్ లో మెయిన్ మెథడ్ ఉంటుందా లేదా?
No, sir.
No. So threads doesn't have any main method. So what is the reason of why main method is not there in the threads? Because of life cycle methods only. Doesn't have the feature or threads doesn't allow the programmer to execute by the programmer. So because the operator the thread are switching okay, So by the reason the threads switch one thread to another, switching from one state to another state and corresponding method. So as threads and applets is having a thread life cycle methods. Here in servlet also we have life cycle methods, and these life cycle methods and the states of the servlets will be maintained by servlet container, and which is there in our web server. Okay, so based on the circumstances and the situations, the servlet container will move the servlet object from one state to another state. Okay, so here, so these are the different types of states available for the servlet. Okay, so and see that so the first state, the constructor, the creation of the object of the servlet, creation of the object for the servlet, and init method, so which is used for creating object of the servlet. Init method used for initialization of the servlet. Okay, so once initialization is done, then the servlet container will load the servlet into memory. So once initialization has been done, so then the servlet will be moved to the service method. So the service method, so which can be used for providing the services to the clients. Providing services to the clients. Okay, and the service method will be just like calls several times. Calls several times. The service method will be called several times based on how many number of clients will be there. Based on the number of clients at that moment. Number of clients at that moment here. Okay. So for each and every client, so there will be having one specific, there will be having a service method created, and that service method will be called upon the specific client. Okay, so this is the client 1, and this is for client 2, and this is for client 3, and this is for client 4. So like this, number of for the number of clients. So this service method will be called. So the constructor will be called only once. Init method will be called only once, but the service method will be called number of times. Okay, so once servicing to the clients has been completed, so then the container will know that the servlet has to be destroyed from the memory. Okay, so once that particular servlet container decides to destroy the servlet, so then within the servlet implementation, so the destroy method will be called. Okay, so the destroy method will be used for removing or unloading servlet. Unloading servlet from memory. Okay, so once the destroy has been done, so then the finalize method will be called upon the servlet to release complete memory space for that object. Okay, so upon the servlet, the finalize method will be removed memory space, memory, and as well as resources if any are there, so those resources will be released, and the memory space also be released from the servlet. So these are the different kinds of states for the servlet, and for each and every state there will be having a specific method is there. So as we know the constructor, how to create the constructor, and there is a init method, and there is a service method, and the destroy method, and initialize finalize method is there. Okay. And this constructor and initialize init method, destroy method, finalize method will be executed only once, but the service method will be executed several times based on the number of clients are there to access that particular servlet here. Okay, so these are the different states for the servlet which depicts servlet life cycle. Okay, so for each and everything I will give the diagrammatic representation of for each and every servlet here. Okay, this is a web container, otherwise servlet container. Okay, so the servlet container will do the operations of the servlet, will do the operations on the servlet object. So first instantiation of the servlet object, and then call init method. Okay, so once init method has been called, so then the service method will be called several times. And then at last the destroy method will be called. So while the service method is executing, then the servlet container will provide the request object. Will provide the request object to the service method. So then the service method takes this request object. Service method takes this request object and process the request object and perform the specific required operation using the request object parameters, and then we'll get the result, and that result will be passed, and then that result will be used and put it into response object, and then the response object will be sent to container, servlet container, and this servlet container will take the responsibility of sending this response object to the web browser. Okay, and then at last, so once there are no clients to access the servlet, so then it will call the destroy method. Okay, so this is the first step, and then second step, third step, and then fourth step. Okay, so within these 4 steps, your application also be implemented. Okay. So as I discussed all these steps, the same thing and the same matter is there for each and every state. Okay. So see this init method must be called by the servlet container before servicing to any request, and it will call only once throughout the life cycle of your servlet. Initialization done, then it is available for service. Okay, if any failures occurred while doing initialization, then it will unload the servlet from the memory. Okay, so that's only the initialization. So overall the init method, so there will be having an init method in the servlet API. So we have to use the init method to write the implementation code which you want to execute that definition only when the servlet is going to be initialized. Suppose if you don't have the code for initialization while doing the initialization, so then you can leave that function empty in your code, and then servicing the request. So this is very important and which will be frequently used in our implementation code. Okay, so once initialization is done, then servlet will be available for the service. Okay, how we give the service to the clients using the service method, and we'll be having the syntax for the service method, and we'll see later how the syntax for the service, and with that syntax of service you have to write in your program and define the method for define the code for the service method. Okay, and so as per the discussion in the previous class, a web server creates threads for each and every request upon the service method. Okay, so that there is a service method, and we'll be having different kinds of threads for each and every client. Okay, so when the server receives the request, then the container creates the request object. That's a very important point. Creates the request object and the response object also. This is the empty response object, and this is the filled in request content of the request object, and invokes the service method by passing this request object and response object. Okay, so by seeing the syntax of the service method, it should be having two arguments. One is request object and another one is response object. It is having two arguments, request object and response object. And this service method will be executed or will be called by servlet container. Okay, so you just have the responsibility to call, to define the method for the service. You don't take the responsibility of calling the service method. It will be called automatically by the servlet based on the client's request. Okay, and then service method gets information about the request from the request object and process the request as usually and use the methods of response object to create the client response. Okay, so this is only the standard logic we have to maintain in our implementation code. And then termination. So as you know, so once servicing to the clients has been completed, so then the destroy method will be executed by the container itself. The destroy method, what is meant by the destroy method, is invoked when the container is stopping a web application which contains a servlet. Okay, so only once the destroy method will be executed throughout the life cycle of your servlet. Okay, so once the destroy is called, so then it will unloads from the memory. Okay, and then JVM will perform the garbage collection on the memory. So by calling finalize method, it will perform garbage collection upon the servlet object itself. Okay, this is a simple termination discussion. Okay, and then we'll see the servlet API. So servlet API application programming interface. Okay. So the servlet API, which consists of different kinds of classes, interfaces, methods, and variables related to the servlets. Okay. So all these classes, interfaces, methods are available in the package javax.servlet and also javax.servlet.http. So before doing any implementation code for the servlet, so you need to import these two different kinds of packages in every program. Okay, javax.servlet package, javax.servlet.http package here. Okay. So now, so we have to implement the servlet code. So to implement the servlet code in our program, so our class has to act like a servlet. That is the first step. So our class should be act like a servlet. For acting like a servlet, our class, okay, so we have to do either three different things, okay, to act like a servlet. Okay, so please tell me anyone, as in the previous topics, whenever our class wants to act like a remote object, so then what you do? Please unmute yourself. Tell me anyone, if your class wants to act like a remote object, what you did in RMI?
Unicast remote object.
Extended with unicast remote object. Very good. Okay. And what about the interface? What about the remote?
Extends with remote.
Extends with Extends with remote. Very good. So at any time in any situation, so if our class act like something, so then so we have to we have only one method, so that is extended from that particular class. Okay, here also in this context, our class should be act like a servlet. That is our purpose. So that so we have to extend, our class should extend from the specific context related class. Okay, so here there are three different methods and procedures to act like our class servlet. Okay, so first methodology is use the interface, servlet interface, that is available in the servlet package. Okay, servlet package, servlet interface. Okay, suppose if your class implements a servlet interface, then your class becomes the servlet. Otherwise, your class extends from the generic servlet, then your class will become the servlet object. Or otherwise, your class extends from the HTTP servlet, so then your class will become servlet itself. Okay, so but there are something differences are there between these three different methodologies. I will tell you those things. Okay. Generic servlet and HTTP servlets are already implement the servlet interface. Okay, so that so if you extend, if your class extends from either generic servlet or HTTP servlet, in turn your class also implements servlet interface. Okay. Generally, so there is simple hierarchy for the servlet inheritance. So there is an interface called servlet. From this interface, we'll be having two different classes like generic servlet and HTTP servlet. Generic servlet and HTTP servlet. Servlet is an interface. Okay. As this interface consists of different kinds of methods, and all those methods will be defined in our classes generic servlet and HTTP servlet here. Okay, so if your class extends from either generic servlet or HTTP servlet, then automatically so your class implements all the methods of servlet interface. Okay. That is the nature in our program. Okay. So what this servlet interface consists of? It consists of the methods related to lifecycle. Okay, as I have already discussed, lifecycle methods like init method, service method, destroy method. All these three methods available as empty definition in the servlet interface. Okay, so that so if your class extends from the generic servlet or HTTP servlet, you have to override the methods like init, service, and destroy method. Okay. Generally, this generic servlet support all protocols in the network. Okay, so if your servlet class supports different kinds of protocols in the network, then your class must extend from a generic servlet. Suppose if your servlet must support only HTTP protocol, then we have to use HTTP servlet. Supports only HTTP protocol, then your servlet has to extend from the generic servlet here. Okay, so this is a simple architecture for the HTTP servlet class. Okay, there is a servlet interface implemented by generic servlet, which is being extended to the HTTP servlet itself. Okay, so This is a simple hierarchy as I have already shown to you. First interface servlet, next generic servlet, and then HTTP servlet, then your servlet. Have you all got my point? Students, please respond. So far, clear or not?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So these are different lifecycle methods: init method, service method, and destroy method. This is a syntax for init method. So public void init of servlet config object. It must throws servlet exception. If you use init method in your program, you have to use this syntax of the method only. Public void init of servlet config, S capital, C capital, and then config object. Okay, you can use this config object in your init method. And this is a service method. The service method. So as we already discussed, the service method, to the service method, the container will provide two different kinds of objects. One is request object and another one is response object. Okay, the first argument is servlet request object, servlet response object. It will throws servlet exception and as well as IO exception. Okay, and this is the request object and the response objects will be provided by container. Request object is filled with client's data. Response object is empty, should be filled up in code, in our code. That's only the thing. Okay. So how to fill the response object based on the contents in the request object. So first you have to read the contents from the request object. Then you have to understand what the client requested, and then by seeing that request contents, so then you have to do the operation. Once you do the operation, then we'll get the answer, and this answer will be sent through the response object by filling the answer into the response object. That's only the logic we have to write. And the destroy method, just use the destroy, public void destroy. Okay. So then if any kinds of resources or the files or drivers, JDBC related drivers are there used in the servlet, so then all those things will be destroyed, will be released in the destroy method. Okay, if that kind of code is related, if that kind of code with you, so then you have to write that code in the destroy method. Okay, so there's only three different methods available in our servlet lifecycle. Okay, so I'm showing you how to define the servlet code one by one. So there are three different methods. The method one I'm showing you. So see that first step, your class must implement from the servlet interface. It's an interface. So that implements servlet. As the servlet interface provides the init method, so that we have to write the init method and definition for the init method you have to write. And this is the method service, and you define the code for the service method. And this is the destroy method. Okay, you define the code for the destroy method. That's enough in your code. Okay, and the method 2, your class extends from generic servlet. Generic servlet. Here in this generic servlet, you need not implement the definitions for all these three methods. Since it is a servlet interface, it is a syntax rule to follow that all the methods in the servlet interface must implemented. But here, these three different methods definition will be provided in the generic servlet. Okay, so your class will take the responsibility of overriding a required method only in the class. Okay, suppose if you have the code for the init, you just use the init method in your code. Suppose if you don't have the sufficient code for the init method, so you just omit that init method to use in the code. Suppose if the destroy method code with you, so then use the destroy method, override that destroy method and give the code for the destroy method. Suppose if you don't have, so then you just not to use the destroy method in your servlet code. Okay, so as usually the service method is mandatory as per the protocol, so that you have to write the service method compulsory in your servlet. Suppose if you are not writing the service method, so then you are not giving the servicing to the clients. If you just define the class with extends from the generic servlet, but you don't write the service method, so then your servlet won't give the service to the clients. Only when the service, when your class contains the service method, so then your servlet will give the service to the clients. Okay, so that always override the service method. Okay, init method only when required. Okay. How this possible? Because the servlet, generic servlet creates a default implementation for all lifecycle methods. Okay, so that you will be safe. And then method 3, okay, so which will be frequently used. HTTP servlet. So because we are dealing with web browser now, so that web browser supports only HTTP protocol. Okay, so that our servlet is feasible to extend from HTTP servlet only instead of implementing servlet or extends from the generic servlet. Okay, so we use third method frequently. Okay, so what is this third method? Your class extends from HTTP servlet. And this HTTP servlet is having lifecycle methods along with the service, and also it consists of do get method and do post method also. So as your HTML code consists of a form with method attribute like get and post. Okay, so if the client sends the request parameters using either the method of get method or post method, so within our servlet code corresponding to that method of the HTML form will be having the method code also be there. So do get for method equal to get in the HTML form. Do post used for method in the post. Okay, so that so you can use either override the definition for service method or specific to do get method or specific to do post method.